Homeworld 3 looked the part. Sleek, dramatic, full of spectacle. But for many of us, it just didn't click. The visuals were there, sure, but the heart, not so much. That's where Era 1 comes in, offering something quieter, more reflective, an atmospheric, story-driven space strategy game that will blend real-time tactics, base building and survival, all centered on rebuilding a lost civilization that slipped through the cracks of history. You'll design and expand fully customizable space stations, construct warships, manage fleets and engage in focused tactical battles, all while piecing together who your people once were and who they might become. Hi, my name's Tom and this is LT Gaming. Welcome aboard. If you like honest previews with some depth and a touch of mystery, feel free to like or subscribe if you think we've earned it. Oh, and there's a demo landing on the 9th of June for this game, so it might be worth keeping an eye out on this one. Era 1 doesn't begin with expansion, it begins with loss. You're the last flicker of a forgotten people, waking into a silent galaxy. No homeworld, no empire, just debris, distant signals, and the faint hope of rebuilding something worth remembering. And yes, if that's ringing a few homeworld bells, you're not alone here. But while that classic gave us a desperate search across the stars, Era 1 shifts the focus. You're not just trying to survive, you're trying to understand. The more you explore, the more fragments you uncover, relics, ruins, databanks, each reshaping your tech, your strategy, and even your values. It's going to be a procedural story stitched together through what you choose to pursue. There'll be no fixed path, no golden victory screen, just a quiet, persistent question of what kind of civilization are you rebuilding, and are you willing to pay the price to bring it back? So how is Era 1 actually going to play? Well, beneath all the quiet, there's going to be a lot happening. You begin adrift, no homeworld, no empire, just the cold void and the scattered remnants of a civilization that's almost vanished. And now it's just you left picking up the pieces. And you start with a base. Not a prefab station slapped into orbit, a fully modular outpost built from scratch. Every corridor, power relay and research lab placed by hand. There's no grid, no symmetry unless you want it, just raw infrastructure stitched together in the dark. It seems refreshingly tactile to me. You're not just building to win, you're building to survive, and because everything's floating out there in plain sight, your vulnerability is baked in. Your decisions about layout and defense will have real consequences down the line. And defenses will matter, power lines will matter. Forget to reinforce a sector and it might be gone the next time you check. And then of course this is where your fleets will come in. Combat in Era 1 is real time, but not chaotic. You're not directing a Zerg rush, you're managing a handful of custom built ships, each serving a purpose. Because here's the thing, you build those ships too, just like your base. Your vessels are designed using modular components. Engines, weapons, scanners, cargo bays, this is all up to you. Want a nimble scout with passive sensors? Done. A heavy brawler with broadside cannons and a reinforced hull? Go for it. It reminds me of the old Space Empire's modular system of building ships. They're planning combat to be surgical, so positioning, timing and composition will mean more than just raw numbers. A well-placed ambush or a perfectly timed retreat can decide the outcome of a campaign. But combat will be just one thread here. The real tension is going to lie in the background, in the logistics, in keeping the whole machine alive. Resources are going to be scarce, so everything you build from a reactor node to a corvette will pull from the same limited pool. Let your supply lines drift or overstretch your fleets and you're going to feel it. Hard. Bases will go dark, crews silent, you're not going to build an empire, you're just going to try and keep the lights on. And all this while digging through the ruins of a world that came before. So exploration in Era 1 isn't going to be about just exploring the map, it's about piecing together who you were. You stumble across derelicts, scan long dead archives, and recover fragments of your civilization story. Something uplifting about this and something horrifying about this as well. To boot, there will be no rigid tech tree here. Progression will unfold organically based upon what you find. If you're enjoying this video and want more grounded previews like it, strategy, space, indie deep dives, consider giving the video a like or subscribing if you fancy sticking around. No pressure from us obviously, but it does help more curious gamers find this channel. Thanks guys. So to me, it looks like Era 1 isn't striving to be the loudest game in the room. It's not bombarding you with particle effects or cinematic bombast. Instead it's leaning into what space really is, cold, quiet and endlessly patient. The visual style is stripped back, clean UI, Minimalist overlays. Space is feeling very sparse, but it is intentional. It gives you room to think, and more importantly, room to feel the game. It actually reminds me a little bit of EVE Online. Not in the style of game, but the same sense of solitude, operating in this vast, uncaring unknown, where each choice feels weighty, simply because there's no one there to guide you on how to do it. You're not the chosen one, you're not the last hope of a galaxy, you're just trying to survive. In a game like this, atmosphere really matters, hugely. These experiences live and die by the mood they create. Get it wrong and the whole thing will feel hollow, but hopefully Era 1 is going to get it right. The soundtrack is going to play a major role in that. From what I've heard so far, it's all the right ambient synths and slow pulses, music that doesn't fight for your attention but rather hangs in the air, reflective and haunting. The sort of score that lets the silence do half the work. And that's the magic Era 1 seems to be striving for. Not the flash, but the presence. The sense that space isn't yours to control, but it's something you're trying to understand and maybe leave a bit of a mark on. Now, this video is not all starshine and sentiment. There are a few question marks hovering over Era 1, and they're really worth flagging to you guys. First up, the delays. This game has seen a multitude of pushbacks, with the early access release now slated for July this year. And while delays can be a sign of a team striving for quality, they can also hint at deeper structural issues, so it's hard to say right now. Then there's the matter of late game content. I haven't seen much regarding anything like diplomacy or how the narrative will unfold once you've uncovered most of your past. Will the procedural storytelling offer genuine replayability, or subsequent runs feel too familiar? Tactical combat, while very promising, still to me feels a little bit light in the footage I've seen. Are these encounters going to remain compelling throughout a full playthrough, or risk becoming routine? And it's very worth noting this genre has seen its share of missteps recently. Homeworld 3 being the elephant in the room here, it left many of us feeling burnt and that they ruined the IP, with most of the critiques around the poor storytelling and lack of depth. So I'm really hoping Era 1 doesn't share the same fate. Don't get me wrong, what's here is very ambitious and thoughtful, but it's precisely because the concept is so strong that the execution needs to land. This one lives or dies on pacing, balance and narrative. To conclude this one for you LT gamers, Era 1 isn't trying to reinvent this genre, but it is aiming to try and do something different. It's slowing the pace, it's focusing on memory, survival and atmosphere over empire building or spectacle, and that's a very rare thing in space strategy games. It's still got hurdles, the delays are concerning and a few key systems really need to prove themselves, but the core idea is strong. The demo's out on the 9th of June and I think it's one worth checking out for Steam Next Fest, especially been waiting for a quieter, more thoughtful take on the genre. I've been Tom for LT Gaming. If you found the preview useful, feel free to drop a like or subscribe if you think I've earned it. And of course, I'd love to know what you think. Is this game hitting the right notes for you, or is it going somewhat off course?